Are you certain? It wasn't easy getting here.
Exactly. It makes it harder to get on, but they spot check less often. It's just what I heard. Makes sense, though. More tourists here, they wouldn't want to scare them away.
You think that would stop them from grabbing someone they think is illegal? I think they'd use it as an example.
They might, but it's less likely during the day. Come on, let's have a look at some of the murals. People come from all around the world to see this.
Idiots. Anyone coming to this city, now, as a tourist, is completely fucking oblivious.
Hello, Resistance fans. You're listening to the Bug Podcast, the objective voice of objection for this most objectionable world. I am Andy, not my real name, so good luck finding me, Monsieur Bloom. My real name is, in fact, Andrew, and I live in, note this down, a deluded pseudo-reality of my own making, which is, in fact, the most densely populated place on Earth these days. Overcrowded, some might say. Joining me, as always, my next-door neighbour in these Netherlands of nonsense. It's Alice.
Yes, indeed, it is Alice. Alice, who the bleep is Alice? I am not going to tell you that, but you can just sort of sense it from the timbre of my voice.
Let's spin the wheel and find out where we're getting today's news from. Here, it's coming from here. I must get a new wheel with at least one other place on it. And the headline today, Alice, our borders are safe. We can all sleep easy in our well-bordered beds. 4,000 illegals were deported last month. These illegal people breaking the law just by existing. And of course, illegality is contagious. It can osmose through your skin just by standing next to an illegal person. So we've got rid of 4,000 of them. My question for you, Alice, is why only 4,000? Is that really enough? I will not feel safe until at least another 75 million people have been deported from this country, and I'm here in Britain on my own.
As a bleeding heart lefty, Andy, I would normally be outraged about this, but really I think mass deportation is a very handy way to break up with a partner. I'm sorry, baby, I love you, but an anonymous source has reported you for snoring really loudly in a French way.
So everyone out, no exceptions, Alice, not even you, it's for the good of the country, everyone out. Unless you can prove that your family are in the background on the Bayeux Tapestry cheering on King Harold at the Battle of Hastings in 1066, get out. Actually, that's not British enough. Unless you can show, unarguably, that your direct bloodline is untainted by anything since before the Romans, actually scratch that. Unless your direct ancestor was personally responsible for building Stonehenge, get out of my country. I guess when you look at it, you know, the best ways to stop immigration, apart from, obviously, the end of the world, to make the place you want to stop people coming to as unpleasant as possible.
Well, we absolutely are doing that, Andy.
Well, you know, fair play to the government for helping us with that. Another option, extend the White Cliffs of Dover. They've been resting on their laurels for too long. Very inefficient, it turns out, as a means of stopping immigration. We need to extend them by about another 11,000 miles, the full wrap around Great Britain, and they could do with being about 1.5 kilometres higher as well, with a special greasy coating to stop people clambering over the top or however they get in. Here's a quick joke for you, Alice, about immigration. Did you hear the one about the woman who went into the immigration processing centre and was ever seen again?
No, Andy, I didn't hear that one.
Boom. Set up, punchline. Classic. For those of you unfamiliar with it, the Immigration Processing Centre is, of course, where so many of our guests to Britain go for a longer than desirable game of involuntary hide and seek. You are listening to The Bug. I will conclude by saying, out of all the things wrong with Britain today, I think immigration is right up there, Alice. When you think of all the health professionals we've stolen from overseas over the years here in Britain, it's quite possible that all these people are just coming here to try to get an appointment with their local doctor.
Yes, Andy, certainly as someone who came from the expanded arm of the empire when Britain was still reaching out rather than folding in on itself, most of us just come here to visit our stuff in the museums.
It's the British way.
Speaking of international movement, Britain has recalled all European ambassadors after a spy scandal. I think this is probably a good thing, because British foreign politicians are always putting their foot in their mouths. How much worse can they do if they're not there? I mean, by definition, the fact that there's a spy scandal means that they were terrible spies. The point of spies is that there's never a spy scandal.
Yeah, but let's give credit to all the spies that haven't been in scandals and therefore might as well not exist.
Well, they've arrested those German spies in that SIRS crackdown on the illegals in Hackney, and I think that's a sad thing. I think I used to think of Germans as quite scary, but that was because I'd been watching World War II movies where the Germans all have English accents. They speak in that very, precise way. It's very, we have ways of making you talk. And now Germans all have that American accent where it's all like, welcome to the party, we're having a really nice time. They're much friendlier Germans. Let them stay.
Well, that's all today, Bugsters. Remember, it's not as bad as it seems. Honestly. I hope. Until next time, bye-bye.
I don't like being here. Too many innocent people died at the Tone Conference. Just gives me the chills.
So what's with all the fucking security? This place should be under repair, shouldn't it? Something stinks here.
True. Hey, Bags, tell me what I'm looking for.
Any kind of device or component that could still be emitting the signal. It seems to be coming from within the rubble.
Talk about empowering my abilities. That's wicked.
He's looking to automate our jobs, mate. This is no joke. Director Cass? You're serious? Who told you that? Friend over in R&D. The shit he's told me about background checks and knowing who's going to be useful to Albion, who's going to be a problem. You that worried about your job?
This is a PMC. They already do background checks on all of us.
Oh, you don't get it. He was talking about the general population, not just us employees. How bad is it that everyone has to be watched that closely?
Well, look around. It's fucking bad. And Cass is going to do what he has to keep it from getting worse. Suggest you do the same.
Get a load of that.
is London Calling. You're listening to me, Tash, on Buccaneer, your source for what they don't want you to know. This time we're turning our focus back on the media to look at my former employer, the GBB. As we know, the broadcaster has been through a lot of changes since the Hassani government gave in to pressure from his corporate backers and privatised the corporation. Today, the GBB is a shadow of its former self. It's become a tool used by the government to circulate fake news and misinformation. So how did we get here? Where did it all go wrong? How can we tell when our national media has become state propaganda? Our experts speak on conditions of anonymity for their own safety. Here's disinformation and media expert Charles, who's seen free broadcasters built up by journalists and torn down by demagogues all over the world.
So before the media fragmented, there was this voice of authority that was trusted and worthy of trust. Then what we ended up with is a really commercial model where whether you're talking about an app on a smart device or whether you're talking about a broadcaster, the most important thing was to keep you in that environment for the longest amount of time possible, and because that meant money in their pocket. And in order to do that, a couple of things happened. One was the use of manipulative techniques around behavioral economics, things that would just keep you scrolling or keep you listening or keep you looking for more information. The second is that kind of environment favors sensationalism. And so you got more sensational headlines and more sensational stories, and it didn't matter whether they were true or not. It just kept people in and it kept them in the loop. So we ended up in a situation where nobody trusted anything and nobody believed anything at all. And that is the perfect environment for an authoritarian voice to come in and say, no, wait, we are the truth. So the ground for this environment really got created when we had suddenly authoritarian politicians everywhere, and anything that threatened them or they disagreed with, they would call it disinformation. That's disinformation, that's fake news. And again, we got in a situation where nobody really believed anything. And the trouble is if you were telling the truth, it's very hard to get your message to cut through all of the noise of all of the disinformation that's there. So like, you remember Out on the Edges, there was this story about when they would take a house by force, they would take any infants and they would crucify them. And that's a great, fantastic, viral story. And how do you counter that story? With the truth. The only way you can counter it is by saying, no, they didn't. And of course, no one wants to spread that story. No one wants to hear that story. They want to hear the sensationalism. They want to hear how people were victims of violence when in fact they weren't. Or they were victims of insurgent forces when in fact they weren't.
The news isn't neutral, it's a battleground. Here's media researcher and academic Alfie.
The media has, of course, been perhaps the key way in which governments have controlled and influenced their populations. So, totalitarian countries have typically used huge mainstream media outlets to sell one kind of news, one kind of biased news to its population. Of course, the media has always played this kind of key role in methods of state control. I think what's happening now is perhaps even more concerning, where you previously, in pre-crisis Britain, we had perhaps more diverse voices in the media, but now with the GBB, you're really only seeing one brand of news and therefore only getting one truth. So people end up with a very biased and controlled idea of the reality and the world that we're actually living in. There was, of course, many concerns and many problems, but in a way there were some positive things that, like, not all information was coming from one place, and so you'd have kind of far-right media outlets developing and then left-wing media outlets developing to combat those and kind of challenge the mainstream newspapers, TV stations, radios, and make sure people were questioning the validity and truth of the information they were receiving. So whilst there was the digital afforded more fake information, it also made makes us suspicious and sceptical of information and makes us question the information we're getting. And I think in pre-crisis Britain, it might not have seemed great at the time, but there was something positive about that there was a lot of distrust in the media and in the different kinds of truths that were being told. Whereas now, I think you're seeing a return to a more traditional and older pre-digital sense, actually, of people just trusting what they're told, and that's why we have to be here with radio stations like this to challenge those conceptions. Most citizens feel pretty hopeless, I think, and unable to fight back against these kind of huge mainstream corporations that simply entrench and support the ideals and ideologies of the state. It can seem very hopeless indeed, but I think, the fact that you're out there listening, we're in here talking, shows that there is still a space to combat these false truths and disinformation that's being sold to us, and that it's never possible really to completely shut down, despite all the technologies that they have at their disposal and all the financial and corporate power and all the physical power. It's never quite possible to shut down people's desire to get to the truth and fight for their own ideologies and values, and we're out here starting that task, so don't give up hope.
You've been listening to Buccaneer with me, Tash. We'll be back soon with more of what you'll never hear on the GBB. Keep listening, keep sharing, and keep resisting.
What the? This is it. The signal is coming from this spider-bot fragment. No indication yet who it belongs to.
How the hell did it end up here? And in this mangled state?
Difficult to say, but with an AR reconstruction, we may be able to see what happened to it and if it relates to the attack. Access data relays in the vicinity, and I can compile enough data to build the AR reconstruction.
He's looking to automate our jobs, mate. This is no joke.
Director Cass? You're serious? Who told you that?
Friend over in R&D. The shit he's told me about background checks and knowing who's going to be useful to Albion, who's going to be a problem.
You that worried about your job? This is a PMC. They already do background checks on all of us.
Oh, you don't get it. He was talking about the general population, not just us employees. How bad is it that everyone has to be watched that closely?
Well, look around. It's fucking bad. And Cass is going to do what he has to keep it from getting worse. Suggest you do the same.
Perfect. 2 more data relays to go. One more data relay and I'll have it. That should do it. Now I'll just take the audio from this stream and the video from these 36 and... got it. Go back to where you found that spider bot and I'll show you the AR reconstruction from the night of the explosion.
Acknowledged.
CTOS AR. Data reconstruction in progress.
You brought the payload? What, think we'd go back here? Don't trust the Kelley dog.
Thanks. Only chance of running a ping back to whoever was operating the bot?
I've now fully decrypted the signal the spider bot is broadcasting, and while I cannot identify a specific user, it is a call code used by the Metropolitan Police Service.
Fuck me. The guard was watching all this.
Kelley dog? Oh, fuck. Clan Kelley was in on the bombings. This is huge.
Looks like a delivery. The Kelleys were probably just the supplier.
Oh shit, a woman they met with. I'll bet she's part of Zero Day.
Well, don't just stand there, keep looking. The reconstruction continues behind that rubble.
Oh, great. Has the Pentagon released its quantum tunneling tech yet?
Quantum tunnel technology is at least 10 years away, but spiderbots and drones are here today. You could try one of those if you don't feel like waiting.
Solid plan.
Why don't you aim those human eyeballs of yours at the van's cargo?
Acknowledged.
RDX nitrogen, and the exact same detonator system like the bombs that were planted at Parliament.
0 Day written all over it, yeah?
There, hurry. Got what a delivery.
So you were hired to supply all the targets?
Shut it, we're all on need to know.
Zero Day had multiple crews coordinating this. Three-dimensional chess, man.
That's certainly one way to pull off a massive coordinated attack while remaining anonymous. Zero Day needed manpower and resources, but they needed them at an arm's length. And it doesn't take the world's greatest AI detective to see that both Clan Kelley and Albion benefited in the aftermath. Unfortunately, this is the most we can get out of the AR reconstruction. But if we could find the mystery officer who was spying through the spider bot, maybe they could tell us more.
Form of control, but I'll take it for now.
Tracing the Spiderbot serial number, it was assigned to New Scotland Yard 3 years ago. Perhaps more information about its user or its assignment will be available at the station.
They knew it was behind the bombings months ago. It's a fucking conspiracy, and the filth is in on it.
The only way to know for sure is to investigate New Scotland Yard.
PERMADEATH has led the world in AI innovation. We automated London's black cabs. We brought Bradley
Like
to
you're on
your
your job.
office. But our latest endeavours are entirely new. Technology and humanity, two sides of the same coin. That is the heart of daybreak. A chance to leave the troubles of the world behind. Things may seem bleak now, but a new society awaits you. A society of peace and innovation, of love and prosperity. Join our mailing list to receive updates when daybreak goes live. Unleash the full potential of your mind. Once a convenient procedure and you can be free forever. Sign up.
Code 3. Closest units proceed to alarm location.
Bastard. Any sign
Negative
of target?
contact. Moving on. Twat.
Surrender.
I lost visual. Help you?
Eyes open. Weapons ready. Getting involved in. Just think I'll work safe. You can handle this. Dipshit. Stay focused. I'll be okay.
That only works if I'm not looking.
Everything will be okay. Deep breaths. Skip up. We might go easy. Please just listen.
Badly to your optics. But our latest endeavours have been entirely new. Technology and humanity, two sides of the same coin. That is the heart of daybreak. A chance to leave the troubles of the world behind. Things may seem bleak now, but a new society awaits you. A society of peace and innovation, of love and prosperity. Join our mailing list to receive updates when daybreak goes live. Unleash the full potential of your mind. One simple convenient procedure and you can be free forever. Sign up for our waitlist today and join us in the world of tomorrow. Daybreak is the future. And the future is very bright indeed. Brokertech has led the world in AI innovation. We automated London's black cabs, we brought Bagley to your optics. But our latest endeavours have been entirely new. Technology and humanity, two sides of the same coin. That is the heart of daybreak. A chance to leave the troubles of the world behind. Things may seem bleak now, but a new society awaits you. A society of peace and innovation, of love and prosperity. Join our mailing list to receive updates when daybreak goes live. Unleash the full potential of your mind. One simple convenient procedure and you can be free forever. Sign up for our waitlist today and join us in the world of tomorrow. Daybreak is the future. And the future is very bright indeed. Brokertech has led the world in AI innovation. We automated London's black cabs, we brought Bagley to your optics. But our latest endeavours have been entirely new. Technology and humanity, two sides of the same coin. That is the heart of daybreak. A chance to leave the troubles of the world behind. A new society a society of peace and innovation, of love and prosperity. receive updates when Daybreak goes live. Unleash the full potential of your mind. One simple convenient procedure and you could be free forever. Sign up for our waitlist today and join us in the world of tomorrow. Daybreak is the future.
Fucking hell! Combat drone is on me.
Is very bright indeed.
This is fucked. Albion is running the station.
And the entire police service. But don't worry, if you're not pleased with your privatised goon squad, just take your business across the street.
Great. Not a fan of the Met, but I'll take Bobby's over jackboots any day.
Not to worry, the only difference now is the uniform, assault weapons, and the fact they're motivated by profit over public service. Now, any record or information on the Spider-Bot will be further in.
All right. You thinking what I'm thinking, Bagley?
According to the serial numbers, this matches the piece of Spider-Bot from the Tone bombing site.
Must be a way to ID the last user.
Navigate the Spider-Bot from out of that room. I'll need a direct connection in order to learn more from our bisected friend.
I got this.
That's a part of the remote detonator system from Parliament. If the Met, or Albion rather, actually analysed it, they would see it wasn't DedSec's handiwork at all. That opening right there looks like a good exit point. Right, get comfy. This Spider-Bot might be broken and missing some of its legs, but it can still jump and fit through vents. That's a good way to get through the station undetected. That's Dalton's mask. It must have been recovered from Parliament. It might be the only thing left of him now. fuck, would you look at all this junk? You'll have to jump your way across to get to the next vent opening.
Decided they couldn't be trusted to do their jobs. Suddenly some corporation could clean up our streets better than the same police force we've had for who knows how long. When crime fighting is treated like a business, crime will never go away. That would be bad for business, right? So don't tell me Albion has our best interests at heart. So
if the police could handle their job, Albion wouldn't be necessary. But they can't. The Tone bombing is a perfect example. A bunch of lazy, overpaid cops are asleep at the wheel. Well, they're not at the wheel anymore, are they?
I've been around the block long enough to know what kind of people Albion are. They're bloody cowards. They say they're trying to protect us from criminals and illegal. Really, they're just afraid someone's going to come along and knock them off their high horse. You bet someone actually does.
You're almost there. Make your way through this last vent path.
I have it.
Scanning Spiderbot and accessing its internal drives. While I'm analysing this data, you should make yourself scarce. Unless you'd like to explain to your new, heavily armed, privatised police force why you've broken into the station.
Fine.
The Spiderbot fragment you found has a satellite-based GPS module that regularly pushed its location to a specific ground station.
This fucking rabbit hole just goes deeper and deeper, doesn't it?
Pushing you the ground station's coordinates.
Fuck yes, turn it up.